Hi, everyone. Today, I'm giving a quick presentation on how to master the art of interviewing. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Swati Parikh. I am the owner of a career and leadership coaching business called Greater Good Careers. You can find me at greatergoodcareers.com. I work with mission-driven professionals and lawyers on finding more ease, joy, and meaning in their careers and their lives. So today we are going to cover 10 steps to become a master at interviewing. And we're specifically going to talk about how to prepare for interviews, what questions to expect, and how to put your best foot forward. So at the end of the interview, you can close the deal and get a job offer. So step one, you really want to first get clarity on your motivation. Why is it that you want this job? That's really the most important question an employer is going to ask when you're interviewing is, why are you interested in this work? And you need to be able to point to specific things about what excites you about the work and why you want to do it. And if you have past experience in the work, even better, you can show that you're really excited and that you've already done this work. Step two, know your SKI. That's your skills, knowledge, and interests. An interview wants to know why you're a good fit for the job. If you can point to specific skills or knowledge that you have about the work, or you have expressed and dedicated interest to the work that they're doing, you will be a strong candidate. And being able to talk about these skills will help you answer questions like, why are you a good fit for this job? What specific strengths and experiences do you have that make you a strong candidate? Any question like this really points to what your skills, knowledge, and interests are. Step three. This is a step that many interviewers just start at and stop at. This is all they do, but this is only one part of preparing for an interview, and that's researching your interviewer. You should be looking on the internet, looking at their website, doing a quick Google search, potentially looking at Lexis, any other resources that you can look at to really learn about who the employer is, what their background is, who they employ, who their client is, who they're helping, who they're serving. Just be prepared to talk about anything that they have on their website, and know that you shouldn't be asking any questions of things that are easily accessible through information they have available online. Step four, you can really predict the questions based on any job description. So take a look at the job description. For example, say you're interviewing for a litigation associate position, and they are looking for someone with strong research and writing skills. You want to be able to point to specific examples of when you have utilized your strong research and writing skills. So the question might be, tell me about your writing sample. That's something that you should be prepared to talk about. The same litigation associate position, they may be looking for someone who has great courtroom experience. So when have you utilized courtroom experience? When have you spoken or used your public speaking skills to talk in front of a crowd? Anything you can point to that is a specific example of what they're looking for, what the qualifications they're looking for. Those are the questions they're likely going to focus on in their interview. You can also find tons of practice interview questions. You can look on glassdoor.com. Interviewees often post sample questions that they ask in their interviews, and you can just, look up general common interview questions, and those are likely ones that you can expect and practice for. Step five, expect behavioral and hypothetical interview questions. Behavioral interview questions are a way for employers to assess your past experiences and your future performance. They're looking for things like leadership skills, initiative, being able to deal with conflicts or problems, overcoming challenges. So a typical behavioral interview question is something like, tell me a time when you have done X. Tell me a time when you've taken on a challenge. Tell me a time when you've dealt with a conflict with a supervisor or a colleague. Tell me a time when you have taken on a leadership challenge. So it can be really anything related to your past work experience, but be prepared to tell stories, and I'll go into that, how you can prepare for those. And then hypothetical situations are putting you in the role of who they're hiring. So a common use of hypothetical questions are when they're interviewing at prosecutors' offices. So they might give you a hypothetical of when a police officer pulls over a person in a car. what can they do? What is their ability to search to stop and frisk this person? So these are the things that they may ask you in an interview, but different fields have different hypothetical questions, and you should be prepared for those. Step 6, focus on conversation and storytelling. So often in interviews, people go in thinking they just need to answer the questions. And if they answer the questions well, that's all that matters. But really, it's your job to create rapport with the person who's interviewing. And the way to do that is to tell stories, to be engaging, to have a smile on your face. Anything you can do to show that you're really interested in the work will be really helpful. And then being able to tell a story and have something that they can remember you by is also a really important tool to use. So how do you tell stories? You do something called STAR stories. This stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's a really clear way to keep your answers concise, focused, and really thinking about you and what role you've played when you're answering these questions. So they might ask a question like, tell me a time when you represent a client. How did you handle it? And you would say, for example, when I was in a clinic in law school, I was in the immigration clinic. I had to represent an asylum seeker. So the task I was assigned was to interview the client and ask them really sensitive questions around the reason that they are seeking asylum. So the action I took was I really prepared in advance. I worked with the translator closely. I knew exactly what questions I was going to ask, and I got some training in advance of how to deal with really difficult topics when speaking with clients. As a result, my client and I had such great rapport. We were able to have a really good conversation. I got all the information I needed, and I was successfully able to bring the attorney I was working with all of the information that they needed in order to represent this client. So that is a beginning, middle, and end when you are answering a question. Step 8. Definitely practice. This is something I have to do myself. I cannot go into an interview without practicing. And a mock interview is a great way to do it. Again, a previous step, we were coming up with sample questions. You could provide those sample questions to your interviewee and interviewer, and they can run through some practice questions with you. You should really be saying your answers out loud and knowing what you're talking about before you go into the interview. You want to have talked through it, and so you can have a conversational manner when you're in the interview. You feel really prepared. You're going to feel even better about yourself when you're in the interview and know that you can handle it. Step 9, have questions prepared. I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed who have no questions, and that shows me that you're not really interested in the work. You haven't researched us. You don't know what you don't know what we're doing. So showing that you have smart questions prepared, and you don't want to go on for too long. You don't want to ask so many questions, but if you can ask 2 to 3 questions, but have at least 5 to 10 prepared. So sometimes interviewers will just turn it on you and say, what questions do you have for me? And they may want to go on for a while with that. Or you can kind of read the room and think, they just want to answer 2 questions. But having more questions prepared and really smart questions, again, nothing that you can find on their website is going to make you stand out in the crowd. And final step, just remember to follow up. This is so important. Sending a thank you note goes a huge way. Maybe the interviewer is interviewing 10 candidates. They don't remember people after 10 interviews. And the way to stand out is to follow up, to send a really nice, short thank you note that acknowledges the time that they took to meet with you, that possibly brings up one point that you made in the interview or a topic that you really you discussed, and then to thank them and let them know that you're really interested in the job. And then in 2 weeks, if you haven't heard from them, follow up again. You don't want to be a pest, of course, but just following up once and then realizing if you haven't heard back from them, that it's totally fine. You're going to move on and continue applying, but maybe in a few weeks you follow up one more time. So those are the 10 steps, quick and easy. You can contact me at swati@greatergoodcareers.com if you have follow-up questions. I also conduct mock interviews with clients if you're interested. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. I encourage you to reach out. Thanks so much.